First role of a leader's defined reality is to communicate clearly a vision where everyone sees a problem that exists, they agree on the solution to fix it, and they feel the urgency to fix it now. But a vision will never be accomplished without some type of supporting culture. All I mean by that is this. Culture is just how things get done in your circle of influence. So every family, every team, every workplace, neighborhood, church, organization, you name it, they all have a culture. And that culture, the way things get done, is defined by what the group values. Again, every family, team, and organization has values. Now, they may or may not be intentionally defined values, but you've got some. And here's what I know, those values drive your behaviors. They are the filters you use to make decisions. They're the non-negotiables that you're not going to violate. Now, there's often a big difference between the values that we say we have and the ones we actually practice. For example, I can say one of my values is I want to treat everybody with dignity and respect, but if gossip is a normal and acceptable part of my life or my team, well, clearly we're not treating everyone with dignity and respect, right? That's not actually a value. So to understand the culture in your family or your team or your workplace, you got to look at three things: what you state, what you tolerate, and what you celebrate. So let me talk about what you state. These are the values that you have intentionally and consciously chosen to implement and practice as a team. This is what you tell people you value. And most every group, including your family, has some values that they have chosen and they've discussed. They are the, well, around here we always and around here we never kind of values, okay? But those aren't the only values that shape your culture or how things get done. Your culture is also shaped by what you tolerate. So you should look for the things that you allow to slide, the things you let people get away with, what nobody likes but nobody refuses or everybody refuses to address, right? That's when you'll begin to see what you really value. I'll give you a simple example. If a value in our family is respect, but we tolerate everybody disrespecting mom, well, it doesn't matter what we state, respect's not really a value, is it? Because actions speak louder than words. So put whatever values on the wall that you want, but what's actually happening down the hall, well, that shows what you truly value. When you find the things that your group refuses to tolerate or budge on, that's how you know that's a value. Which leads to this third component that shapes your culture. It's what you celebrate. So if you're trying to identify what your actual values are, just pay attention to what gets rewarded within your team. Notice what people celebrate, because a culture is going to always gravitate to the values that you state, you tolerate, and you celebrate. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because if your culture doesn't support and encourage progress towards your vision, well, obviously you're never going to end up where you want to end up. Your culture is a system that creates behaviors in the people who are a part of it. So your values had better be creating the kind of behaviors that help you achieve the vision you all want to achieve. I'm going to give you a quick example. At our church, we say we practice no strings attached generosity because we want to be for our community. We want our community to know that we are for them. Now imagine if we said that was a value, but whenever money got tight around here, we just refused to invest anything in our community and we spent everything on ourselves. Or imagine that we invested in our community, but we always had stipulations and strings attached to it to the organizations that we supported. In other words, they had to do something for us in return if we gave them some money. Well, I mean, we could talk about valuing the community, but our culture would actually be creating a self-centered church. We'd be creating a different value. Your culture is either helping or hurting your ability to accomplish your vision. So if you don't like your current culture, here's the good news, you can change it. You want to know how? Just state the values that you want to be true. Make sure everybody on your team understands them. Talk about them as a team. Make sure everybody's clear on them. And then, this is important, change what you're willing to tolerate. Never tolerate someone, including yourself, violating a value that you have agreed upon is important. And when it gets violated, just address it, correct it immediately. And then finally, celebrate the values that you want embraced. When you see somebody living out one of those values, point it out, make a big deal about it, because if you will reward it, it will get repeated. Culture isn't changed in a day, but it can be changed over time by what you state, tolerate, and celebrate. So I want you to think about your family or your team, maybe your workplace. You have a clear vision. Now, create a healthy culture that's going to help you work together, to achieve that vision. If you do those two things, you're good, right? Well, not so fast. You still aren't going to see that vision happen unless you do one more thing as a leader. So I'll share that with you in the final session.